That breaking news is out of Kansas City, Kansas. Prosecutors are now charging a Wyandotte County deputy with second-degree murder. We were the first to bring you this as breaking news last week. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kelly Eckerman. Laura has the night off.
And I'm Chris Katz. The coroner ruled the death of Wyandotte County Jail inmate Charles Adair was a homicide. KMBC 9 News investigative reporter Matt Fleener has been following this story since the beginning. He's live in downtown KCK, where the DA announced those charges this afternoon. Matt?
Yeah, Chris and Kelly did. Mark Dupree just held that press conference 4:30 this afternoon about what happened here at the Wyandotte County Detention Center back on July 5th. He was short on details, he said, due to ethical rules, but Charles Adair died while in custody, again, July 5th. An autopsy showed a deputy knelt on Adair's back, causing him not to breathe. Today, Dupree filed a second-degree murder charge against Richard Fatherley, or in the alternative, an involuntary manslaughter charge. Now, Fatherley is a deputy who's worked inside the jail for a little more than a year. Because of ethical rules, Dupree stopped short of saying Fatherley was the one that knelt on Adair's back. And KMBC 9 Investigates asked if he would release video to show why he brought the charges against the detention officer.
All information, video and non, now that it is a filed charge in case, then that all of that information will be seen by the judge. And once it is seen by the judge at the preliminary hearing, then it will be made available in court. But via the rules of ethics, I cannot release any information. Thank you, guys.
So again, not a lot of information that came out of today's press conference, but sources are telling us that folks in the law enforcement community are not happy about this. But the DA said he did speak with Charles Adair's family just to make sure that they knew about all of this. Again, quite a case we'll continue to cover. Live in KCK, Matt Fleener, KMBC 9 News.
All right. Peace and blessings. All praises to the Most High. I'm going to show you 3 more videos concerning this incident, and you guys tell me what you don't see. Now, this Deputy Richard Fatherley, and I'm going to show you a picture of him right now. This is the deputy that is charged with killing Charles Adair. Now, this incident happened on July the 5th, but we are just finding out about this story now, all because the officer was charged. And if you hear them say they can't really admit to him being the one who kneeled on his neck, the DA is being very, very vague about this case. But the information I received is that the man went into the jail July 5th. The next day, he was dead. So they said that he was failing to comply with commands. And somehow the deputy put him in handcuffs. They put him in a cell. Then they knelt on his back, as you heard the reporter say. But he also suffered fractured ribs, internal bleeding, and more injuries, which leads me to believe he was beat to death. But what's most worse about this case is this deputy will not be arrested. You're going to see, and I have to call him the Sambo name now. You're going to see that Sambo DA say that he and his office decided to hand this officer a summons to appear in court. Just listen at this video and I'll be right back with some more commentary. And these videos are used in fair use for literary and commentary purposes only. Check it out.
His job was in major part to deal with inmates inside the jail.
Tonight, a Wyandotte County deputy is charged with killing one of those inmates. Richard Fatherley is charged with second-degree murder in the death of inmate Charles Adair. I'm Scott Kilberry.
I'm Lauren Halifax. Adair had just been booked into the jail a day earlier on outstanding traffic violations. The deputy charged with his death, however, won't see the inside of a jail cell before he goes to trial. Fox 4's Dave DeMarco live at the Wyandotte County Detention Center to explain why tonight.
Well, Mark Dupree says it's been pretty standard for law enforcement who is charged here in Wyandotte County not to be arrested.
50-year-old Charles Adair was jailed on the 4th of July for failing to appear on multiple traffic violations. Investigators with the KBI say Adair was not listening to commands, so was handcuffed and taken to a cell where he continued to resist. A coroner's report says an officer was kneeling on Adair's back before he died from complications of mechanical asphyxia. coroner ruled it a homicide. Thursday, the district attorney charged Richard Fatherley, who is a Wyandotte County deputy, but not a certified law enforcement officer, with second-degree murder, or in the alternative, a jury could also find him guilty of involuntary manslaughter.
Those specifics ultimately are the things that will have to go before a jury, who is, according to the law, the fact finder. And so in essence, the jury will be able to decide which of those two falls into the category of Fatherley's actions.
The sheriff's office has placed Fatherley on unpaid leave and say they have been and will continue to cooperate. The district attorney believes Fatherley will too. It's why, despite the charge that could ultimately lead up to 41 years in jail, he received only a summons to appear in court and was not booked or arrested.
Mr. Fatherley has been a deputy with the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office. He was not a flight risk. He was, in fact, cooperative with the investigation and with the Bureau of Investigation. And I do not believe that it was a concern for this office on whether or not he would continue to cooperate.
And that hearing will be November 18th, really right down the hall here from where Adair died. And by the way, Lauren, the DA has says they'll likely bring in an out-of-town judge for this case. Lauren.
All right. So you hear that DA, and I'm going to actually show you more of that press conference because the reporter pressed him. If a person is charged with second-degree murder, which carries a term of 41 years, what other instance will they be handed a summons rather than being arrested? So that guy is definitely placating for this deputy or the officers or white supremacy. Now, he keeps talking about ethical rules and we can't release this information or that information, giving you a lot of legal mumbo jumbo. But what was ethical about that deputy who is not a licensed law enforcement officer, who only been there for a year? He's talking about, well, he's been a deputy, but he didn't say he's been a deputy for a year. So that's not longevity of employment to warrant not being fully charged, fully held on a bond, fully held without bond for killing an inmate. And worse, he's still on leave. He's still on the payroll, albeit unpaid. But why does he still have his job if he's being charged with second-degree murder in the death of this inmate? Now, I'm going to let you hear some of the family speak about how they even find out. They didn't find out that the deputy was charged until the news. But just listen to this. And once again, just notice what you don't see in all of these videos. Fair use for literary and commentary purposes only.
And he was handsome and he knew it, so he was.
Erica Adair looks at a picture of her brother, remembering how wonderful he was. But she's concerned after not hearing much from the Wyandotte County Sheriff or the district attorney about his death.
Good afternoon.
Thursday, DA Mark Dupree announced a second-degree murder charge against Deputy Richard Fatherley with very little notice to family.
After, what happened yesterday, it's just, I need to talk. I need the public to see and hear about my brother, what he was, his life. He meant something to a lot of people.
She's also concerned because the DA only issued a summons to Richard Fatherley instead of a warrant for his arrest. Fatherley's attorney also said he was shocked his client was not arrested and booked into jail.
I would make the argument maybe it's an indication of how weak they think their first charge is, the second-degree murder, reckless. I submit you that's just simply not there.
Wyandotte County District Attorney Mark Dupree said it's because of evidence and the process that he issued a summons for Fatherley to show up in court. That court date will be in November. Meanwhile, Adair's family is asking for video to be released in this situation.
All right. And even you heard in that video, the own murderer's attorney is surprised that his client was not arrested. And you hear also that DA, and you're going to watch this press conference with me as much as we can stomach. But you're going to hear that DA just dance around and use legal mumbo jumbo to explain how are you going to charge someone with murder, have it on video, but not arrested. That is what the family is concerned about. And also, they didn't find out by the DA. They found out through the news. So that's another lack of empathy, or in this case, once again, I think the privilege of the white officer, or the protection of the white officer. Last video, notice this is the last one, what you don't see in this video. Fair use for literary and commentary purposes only.
A grieving family wants transparency and justice for their loved one after he died in the Wyandotte County Jail. I'm Lauren Halifax.
And I'm John Holt. They're sitting down with Fox 4 just one day after the district attorney in Wyandotte County announced a deputy is now charged with murder for the man's death. Fox 4 investigative reporter Bella Caracta is here now after sitting down with Charles Adair's sister. Bella?
John, failing to appear for traffic violations. That's why Charles Adair was in the county jail. His older sister, Erica, tells me they weren't aware he had been booked, and the next thing they knew, he was dead. 50-year-old Charles Adair entered Wyandotte County Jail on July 4th. One day later, he was dead.
Anger, madness, really just all over the board.
His older sister, Erica Adair, now grieves her brother, the youngest son in a home of 9 siblings.
He's that type of person that you want to be around him to uplift your spirits. Never in a million years would we think that he would not only die in custody, but under the circumstances in which he did.
The Wyandotte County District Attorney announced Sheriff's Deputy Richard Fatherley is charged with Adair's murder. This comes following a coroner's report that says Adair died from someone kneeling on his back.
It's devastating. No one should ever have to go through what my brother has gone through. The outcome should not be to die. That should not be the outcome.
Adair's large and loving family still has questions.
Transparency, justice. We need to know, why did it happen? Who else was involved?
Erica says the immediate family, including his mother and siblings, found out his death was ruled a homicide and that charges would be filed through the news, making it that much more painful.
When you don't have the answers that you need, it makes you frustrated, angry.
Now, Fatherley is scheduled to be in court in November.
All right. And so that is the last video I show you before I show you some of this press conference. But all throughout 4 news videos that we saw, what did we not see? We did not see a picture of this man, the murderer, Richard Fatherley. And he gives the name Richard a bad name right now. But they never show a picture of this guy. This has been a common theme that we've been seeing. When white people commit crimes, their pictures are not shown on the news. Now, they showed Mr. Adair's arrest photo. They showed the jail. They showed the black DA. They showed all of these things, but they did not show the main subject, the main antagonist of all of the articles. Why not? Because that is a form of protection, the same protection that they are giving him by not releasing videos, by not even arresting him. He will not see the inside of a jail cell, the same jail cell that he killed that man in, before he goes to trial for second-degree murder. 41 months. 41 years. That is the maximum sentence. And you're going to hear in this press conference, the news reporter asked him that same question. In what other circumstance will a person be charged with second-degree murder and be issued a summons? And you're going to see this guy dance around like, the jigaboo that he is. Just watch this press conference. Once again, fair use for literary and commentary purposes only.
I'm Wyandotte County District Attorney Mark Dupree, and I'm here today to announce the filing of charges in the death of Charles Adair. I want to first start by giving my condolences to his family, to his mother, to his cousins, and to all that are missing him now. I have been in contact with the family representative so that they are aware of today's actions. Adair's death occurred on July 5th, 2025. At the time, Adair was an inmate in the Wyandotte County Jail. While I cannot get into the specifics and the details of the incident, I am announcing my office has filed charges of murder in the second degree and, in the alternative, involuntary manslaughter against Richard Fatherley, a Wyandotte County Sheriff's Deputy. The penalty for these crimes, the level 5 for the involuntary manslaughter, is 31 months to 136 months in prison. And for the level 2 felony, which is the second degree murder, is 109 months in prison up to 493 months. Any person charged with the crime is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. Fatherley is employed by the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office, working in the detention center. Per the Sheriff's Office, Fatherley has been placed on unpaid administrative leave. It is important to note that Fatherley is not a certified law enforcement officer. It's also important to note that due to the potential conflict of interest and the appearance of impropriety, it is likely that my office will be filing a request for an out-of-county judge to oversee this case. At this time, I'll open the floor for questions.
Why did you charge Deputy Fatherley?
Based off of the facts and the evidence that was submitted to this office from the Kansas Bureau of Investigation, that information was submitted to a judge who believed that there was probable cause to charge. So my office did what my office has a duty to do under the law, which is charge. Yes.
The booking report in the Wyandotte County Jail does not show Mr. Fatherley having been booked within the past 24 hours. Has he been arrested or has a warrant been placed for his arrest?
Mr. Fatherley has received a summons. He received that summons this afternoon from a law enforcement officer, and that is common practice when in this county where there are charges for officers. I will tell you that the considerations that was brought before us is whether or not the individual is a flight risk. Mr. Fatherley has been a deputy with the Wyandotte County Sheriff's Office. He was not a flight risk. He was, in fact, cooperative with the investigation and with the Bureau of Investigation. And I do not believe that it was a concern for this office on whether or not he would continue to cooperate.
So I'm sorry, the summons is for him to appear in court in November. You say that's common practice with an officer to issue a summons rather than arresting them. But do other murder suspects, if they're not a threat for flight, not get arrested and get a summons instead?
So this is indeed the process based off of the specific situations that we are dealing with. And I cannot tell you, unfortunately, or rather, let me change it, fortunately, I can't tell you what is the normal process when it comes to other law enforcement or other deputies being charged. And I'm going to finish your question, and I understand you, but please don't interrupt me. At this point, based off all the facts and the evidence that we have, this office, I chose to summons him, and that allowed the process to move forward. Next question.
Did you hear what the lady said? Even if they're not a flight risk, even if they've been cooperating, what other murder suspect receives a summons? And the process, and I decided, like, that shows you how handcuffed these black men in when they get in put in those positions. There is no way, if that would have been a black officer, he would have been summoned, or any other person. But you see how he dismissed her because he know that there is no explanation but covering for a white racist supremacist Kansas City, Wyandotte County government. But let's continue.
Can you clarify the proximity or the nature in which he was working as a sheriff's deputy, provided that he wasn't a certified law enforcement officer?
Yes, he was in the detention center. So in essence, he worked in the courthouse. His job was in major part to deal with inmates inside the jail. It is my understanding that he did not go and patrol. It's my understanding that to go outside of the courthouse to patrol, you have to be a law enforcement agent. Yes.
Mr. Dupree, the KBI, or there was some information that there was a deputy that knelt on Mr. Adair's back. Was it Mr. Fatherley that knelt on Mr. Adair's back?
Well, according to the Kansas Rules of Ethics 3.6, 3.8, I can't get into the specific details of the case. What I can say is that there is information that is out there from the coroner and from others that has been released, and that information is public. What I cannot do is give any specifics or detail.
So you're not linking Fatherley to being a person that knelt on his back right now?
What I'm indicating is that I cannot go into detail on whether or not it was specifically Fatherley. What is clear, and thus the case has come forward, that Mr. Fatherley was found to, there was probable cause for him to be found responsible for his death. And so, of course, until he is proven guilty.
Still protecting him, of course, until he is proven guilty. Look, a man died from somebody kneeling on his neck from choking, and you're still going to say, well, I can't say that he did it. Like, this is what I'm talking about with these dudes.
Yes, next question. Yes, sir.
Can you explain the lesser included or in the alternative charge why there's both murder and voluntary manslaughter?
Yes. So in law, we have the ability to file both of them if the evidence shows, and based off of the facts of the evidence that was submitted to this office, we'll believe, one, we do not believe that this was an intentional act. And with that, second degree murder falls under what's called, you have the ability to file it under reckless, and whether or not his actions were reckless or not. But likewise, in involuntary manslaughter, you likewise have the same ability of reckless and or based off of the law, whether or not the lawful act that occurred became unlawful in an unlawful manner. And so those specifics ultimately are the things that will have to go before a jury, who is, according to the law, the fact finder. And so in essence, the jury will be able to decide which of those two falls into the category of Fatherley's actions. Yes, ma'am.
So can we expect to see charges filed against any additional employees of the sheriff's office?
What I will say is, based off of the evidence that we have received and reviewed at this time, this is the only individual that we believe probable cause exists to move forward.
Two more.
Yes.
How many years has Fatherley worked with inmates?
I am not sure. What I would ask is to direct that question to the sheriff's department. I don't know the details of his employment.
Is there video in this case, and will you commit today to releasing that video so that the public can see exactly why you have charged Deputy Fatherley?
What I will say is that all information, video and non, now that it is a foul charge in case, then that all of that information will be seen by the judge. And once it is seen by the judge at the preliminary hearing, then it will be made available in court. But via the rules of ethics, I cannot release any information. Thank you, guys.
Man, and you see they have trained that Negro very, very, very well. Even when he talked about the judge getting the information and them having the charge, he was like, well, then my office had to charge him. Like, he didn't even want to charge him, and he's being very vague with the public, talking about even the video. There's a video out there. Will that be released? Well, I won't release it. It'll be released in court. Things of that nature. Not telling us who else was involved, because if you've ever been in jail and you've ever been resistant, it's more than one deputy there. And so that leads me to believe he was beaten to death just by the sheer injuries. Rib fractures, internal bleeding. That don't happen from someone kneeling on your back, as they said. Now, the coroner has already ruled it a homicide. We're going to see how this plays out. But once again, this is the man, since they didn't show you a lot of him in the video, and you see him on the couch, we're going to keep him 1 year. The DA didn't even admit to knowing that he'd been there 1 year. He knew how long that guy been there. This case is too big. He knows how long. I can't say it about his employment, but you can direct that to the sheriff's office. Deflection, man. And this guy right here, man, he has been on that. Even when white officers have shot or beat up black people in Kansas City, we just had a couple of shows about that. He's on their side. And so he is one of their guys. So all of you people who love to see black people in DAs and judges and politicians, just know that they are working for the system of racism, white supremacy, and they are not administrators of justice, as you saw that clip behind him. If you look at him speaking, it says administrators of justice. No, they are not. They are administrators of racism, white supremacy, which should be replaced with the system of justice, as the great scholars Neely Fuller and the late great Dr. Francis Cress Welsing has taught us. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this video in the comments. Y'all see the number as usual, 919-587-7782. If y'all do enjoy this content and you want to keep this channel and help this channel grow, please hit that subscribe button and make sure you share these videos to get them out into the public information sector. Most importantly, I thank y'all for liking, watching, sharing, commenting, and subscribing to the channel. And as always, peace and blessings.